All right, maybe it's gonna stay steady for a minute. As I was trying to say, I am Joseph R. Wheeler III, artist, founder, and president of the ONYXCON Foundation. Welcome back to another live. Yo, y'all know what it is. If you're one of my monetization nation, meaning you have hit that subscribe button, you're already part of ONYXCON officially. You're already reaping the benefits of being part of our network. I appreciate you, and you already know how I do. When I go live like this, most of the time, if you see this vest, it's another work day, but every day is a work day, one way or another. One way or another way, right? So we getting into it as the we can only get into it. I got a couple of topics I want to brainstorm with y'all, as I always do. And I'm just trying to, sometimes I take my time before I go live, y'all. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm spontaneous because I got something right on the tip of my tongue that's too funny, too exciting, too interesting, too provocative, may even be angering, and I want to get it off my chest, vent or whatever, and I'll do those. And I'll do those if you watch my stuff, but you know how I get down, for this multi-niche channel known as ONYXCON, where you can get all types of content. Hope y'all been paying attention to with that, because going back to trying to get on the gaming content, do more of that, a little bit more of all that. I'm trying to beat. I don't know when it's going. I don't know why I said beat. I'm trying to just add a few more stages to my play of R-Type Final 3 something. I forget the rest of the long title, but if you ever play any of the R-Type games, I'm a big R-Type fan. It's fun. It's fun and misery at the same time, because it is not easy. Ain't nothing easy about that game. And I got to the point where, like, the reason why, I grew up on R-Type. I played it when it was only in arcades, you know what I'm saying? That's the first time I ever discovered it. And if you're from Atlanta and you're from the metro areas, if you ever used to go out to Union City or lived in Union City when it had Shannon Mall, you might remember when the Walmart first opened out, the first Walmart, the one that was across the street from the one that's there now. And they had this little area right in the front where they had a couple of video games. And at one time, R-Type was one of them games. And if you like me, man, you'd be like, Mom, can I get some quarters and just stay right here? I'll wait for you to come out. Don't you go nowhere else. I'll be right back out. All right, Mom, I'll be right here. And boy, I'd be on that game. Used to love R-Type. That's one of my joints. I think they may have had, I forget what else they had out there, but that would be the one I'd be playing. I love that R-Type joint. And then, when it got on, what was it? I forget which one it was. The R-Type for PlayStation 2? Yeah, it was for 2. Because I just sold my PlayStation 2 and I gave that away to somebody. I told her it was R-Type, was it Evolved? I forget. But I told them, I said, you know what you got right here. I could tell they didn't know. It was a young person. They was in their 20s. I said, do you know these games? They just like nodding. I was thinking, you don't know all these games. I know you don't know all these games. I was like, you done got some magic up in here. I done hooked you up. That's what you just got. Because I'm trying to sell a lot of stuff through Marketplace. And that's a whole nother conversation that I sometimes bring up, and I'll elaborate real quick, is, when I talk about the expat life and the travel and all the things that I want to do, I've just come to a conclusion. Like, everybody I've ever watched that says they did it and pulled it off and finally made a big move, or finally got to the point where they could be that traveling vlogger and do the kind of content they really wanted to do, etc., blah, blah, blah. There's going to be a point in the story where they say, I sold everything. It's the famous sentence, sold everything. Now, when they say that, they don't mean everything. But I know what that means. It's like when you had to get rid of all the stuff you're not really using, it's just put away. You don't even look at half of it. And I'm at that point, y'all. I'm at that point. And it wasn't an immediate transition either. It wasn't like, I just woke up one day and said, enough is a damn enough. Even though I've been saying that about a lot of stuff in this crazy ass country, right? But I didn't just jump up and say that one day. It accumulated. And it got to a point where I just said, all right, I'm going to start just selling a few things see if I can do something. And then, you know, how people say it happened organically. That's how it's been happening. It's like, organically, it's become another source of income. Because it's like anything else where people have to wait for a purchase. You know, people who do real estate, people who do any type of long-term wait on people to buy stuff. It's the same kind of thing. Because I got 19 different things on my marketplace on Facebook right now for sale. And sometimes you look at that list and you say to yourself, damn, man, the hell wrong with these people? Don't they know this is quality? Or why would you not want that if you into that? You can't think like that. You just got to keep, what I've learned to do is, if the goal is to sell everything, as I said, you got to just slowly but surely pick out the things that you know you want to get rid of and just keep putting them up. You know, that's it. That's all you can do. Because what's going to happen is, a week later, 2 weeks later, maybe even a month, and that's sad because then you gotta keep renewing the items and all that stuff. Somebody's gonna hit you up and be like, is this still available? And then you gotta go through the whole thing with that where people are flaky. So you say yes, and are you interested for real? And this is where you can meet, or if you wanna do the shipping, this is what it's gonna be, blah, 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 blah. And most people gonna flake, I'm gonna be real. Most of them flaky as hell. But when you get that real one, the real people, man, the real people who really serious about getting some stuff, they not playing, y'all. They not playing. They be, I had this brother I just sold, I had, like I said, I sold my PS2 and I sold my PS4. The PS4, it was funny because he seemed like, he was so much like another customer that reached out to me at the same time. I kept mixing them up. They were both Latinos. And so both of them, they weren't, you know, people, not every Latino is directly, you know, fresh off the plane, fresh off from whatever country, so that they don't, you know, some folks speak very good English, some people got the broken English, and hell, if I'm in your country, I'm broken like a mug. I poquito. I'm like, oh, you know, everybody will be off. Not necessarily, man, folk got work, and some folk, man, people got all types of jobs, working home, not working all, looking for a job. Gig stuff like what I'm doing right now, delivery, etc. So, you know, come on, man. It's a hodgepodge out here. It's a hodgepodge. So you can't bet that if you set up everything, a bunch of boxes with clothes and stuff and whatever, unless you live in like an apartment complex that's not, I mean, to be frank, and quite frankly, you have to be in the damn hood, a bunch of shit on talking about sale. I don't want to let you do that. You know, unless you got some direct relationship with the landlord and the landlady, landman. So, unless you living like that, you ain't about to be putting nothing out. That ain't about to happen. You know, not about to happen. It's not, I want to not be, because I'm like, you know what, man, I don't pay this much. Just overpaying anyway in rent to have to deal with. You know, it's not to the point. But I know what can happen, but it's not to the point where it's like harassing atmosphere or aggressive where people are outside. Like, you know, I remember one time I came home and there was some teenagers out sitting on one of the little staircase areas. And I was like, where the hell y'all think y'all at, man? Don't nobody sit on no stairs around here. You know, I get it if that's where you at. I'm all for, this is why I always be telling y'all. For the cultures. It's a long Z. Because they ain't no damn one. If I was in Brooklyn, in Fort Greene, and went to visit a friend in the summertime in Brooklyn, you sit on your stoop. That's Brooklyn. That's culture in that part of Brooklyn. I stress that part. It wouldn't necessarily be the same in other parts. You see what I'm saying? So that's how that goes. But if you're in an area where nobody do that, and people pay to not have to have that, and it just don't fit. Like, some things just don't fit. This ain't a stoop. This isn't a wide. This is not wide. And on top of it, it's not just your house. It's a main thoroughfare for everybody to walk. And you sitting there like, you know, you got to come through me because I'm gonna be here. You know. Now, mind you, like that said, these some goofy little kids. There's no energy of trying to be no little thugs or nothing. So I wasn't worried about it. But I wasn't about to either. I also didn't feel like when I saw this that day, there's other ways to get around. And I said, I don't even feel like having no damn motivational speech to these little children. And then somebody want to say, you know, and if it did, we're going to get stupid. I'm like, no, man, this is too close to home for real. We're going to protect the fort. We're going to protect the fort. So I avoid the nonsense, right? But I'm saying for it to even start going to that kind of energy, you're just like, man, don't bring that riffraff around here. But some people don't know no better. They think this shit is normal across the board. It's not. What you do in one place ain't what you do in other places. You got to know where you at. You got to respect the vibes of wherever you is. That's just the way it is in life. It's like, this is the other reason why I love being outside, being in nature and stuff, right? When you fish and hike and do all the activities I love, the way I do it, you get a sensitivity to this on a whole nother level, because you start having to deal with scenarios where, okay, you fishing somewhere, right? It's a mile away from another place you fish. But one area has, and it's on a river. One area, the water's pretty calm. Now mind you, it's a river, so it's always a current. You walk literally a half a mile away from where you were, everything changes. There's more rocks, there's bigger rocks, there's more turtles, there's bigger trees that have fell in the water, there's more potential of snakes. Everything is environment and zones. Everything has its own energy, y'all. Every place has every person. So it's like, I get some friends of mine from New Orleans tell me about how it was growing up in the show enough New Orleans, not outside I'm talking about in the woods, all of that, right? And I'm from there, but I know some people from there, right? And they were somebody decided a parade, whatever crew want to have a parade on any time of the year. People think it's just Mardi Gras and that's it. It's like, no, man, they will throw a party that's, hey, for anything. Somebody's birthday, somebody, of course, when people pass, just celebration for somebody got something they job, whatever. Hey, man, we want a party. And so if they decide they want to do that, permit or no permit, they just do it. And it's accepted that that's going to be the way it is. Now, there might be some legal ramifications, et cetera, whatever. But even with that part of it, like, you know, cops really don't care, especially if it's in some of them neighborhoods. They ain't about to come out there unless if ain't nobody shooting, ain't nobody mad, ain't nobody crazy. Okay, whatever, party on. Y'all enjoy yourself. Just don't, hey, keep it calm. All right, cool. All right, you know, that kind of thing, right? So it's funny to me. It's like, you know, but then if somebody leaves there and comes to Atlanta, all right, with all the different cultures that we have, right, and think that they can do what they used to do back home here just cause they want to, and it's enough of y'all to feel like you done got comfortable and think we gonna wild out like we used to or whatever. This ain't that, y'all. We don't do it like that here. Don't think it's gonna be like that here. It's a different